Okay, we are live at 11:05 on BC. This is Spirit Cars, and we're building hot rods. Today we're just going to talk about Alan's car. We're moving it ahead, and this is kind of Alan. This show's for you, but y'all can just kind of hang out with us also. Hope you had a great weekend. I spent my weekend gardening, and actually, anybody interested in the extended T, I spent a lot of time this weekend. We just refurbished our 23 extended mold, and if you think there's a lot of blocking that goes on before you paint one, there is a lot more blocking that goes on before you buff a mold to get it ready to go. So anyway, I'm buffing now. I probably got compound on me, but that's what I'm doing. So we're just going to do a quick overview. I think I said title this thing one piece at a time. Alan's been collecting parts and pieces for this thing for a long time. I think he said 20 years. And we have taken the body and put our insert into it. This is a Total Performance anniversary tee. So we put our insert into it. Total Performance, if you look at the dash, that's a Total Performance dash. If you see a Spirit dash, it's different than that. It's almost like a 32 oval in the middle of it. Dashboards are kind of one of the distinct ways you can see whose body it is. This is kind of a funky windshield thing, but hey, it is what it is, and it looks cool, and there it is. So that's all cleaned up. This thing's been blocked and primed, prime. The bottom is ready to go. It's fixing to go into the booth after lunch. I was hoping that Ed was going to have it painted this weekend. Ed was hoping it was going to be painted this weekend, but just because you want to do something, make sure everything's ready before you do it. So if it takes a little extra time, don't get anxious, don't get worried, don't fret. Just like go through, enjoy the process, enjoy the show. We got quite a show going on right now in this world, so might as well just sit back, take a deep breath, enjoy it. So we've got our steering column fit already. I know when I put it on the thing, it's going to fit in the car. We got our brake pedal going up in there. We had to modify, and out here you can kind of see it a little bit. You see this little hump? You might see it barely, but that was not there. We added that hump there so we had more room for our feet when we go ahead and put the gas pedal and the brake pedal in. Big deal. Back here, it's a little bit different. We put a cover on it. This is the Total Performance bed. It's got the Ford scroll in it and everything. I'm not sure how they got away with that, but thank you, Ford. This is a combination between a Total Spirit car now. So we added the cover on it. It's going to get a cap. And he's been gathering the parts and pieces, and part of the vision is he wanted this look right here. So we're going to have this cap mounted into there. The gas tank will be centered up on that, and that will be cool. It'll be easy to access, get your gas in there. It's a pretty cool cap. There you go. Pretty fancy schmancy. Okay. I don't want to break it, so I better pay attention to how it works. Once we put the bed on, or the bed was already on, once we put the cover on, we noticed this line from here to here, it was big and got little and big and got little. We looked down the back here. If you follow lines, you can kind of look down, and if it's wider on the bottom here, or if you look down the side of a car and you see, my dash should be even. If I'm even here, my dash should be even on both sides. So we lined up all that kind of stuff, had a pretty sharp edge here. And one thing you probably don't want to have is a hard 90, because paint won't want to stick on that. If you even come close to it with a buffer, you're going to buff through. So we rounded this edge a little bit. It's real clean, it's real tight looking, and it's rounded enough where we can get paint on that, and we won't buff it for sure with a machine. We'll get buffed, and we may even, I normally don't put tape on the edges when I buff, but I've got, I don't know, a long time, 50 years of experience buffing by now. So I'm automatically kind of careful, but if you're kind of new to the buffer, that buffer can get away from you a little bit, but you can control the buffer too. I was telling somebody this morning that was in the booth bothering me, my son, and he had a suit on, of course. He did a TV interview this morning, so I guess he told him what it was like in China. He's got a role in China. Just some good news. His His team is still there. He came here, he was on vacation, and so he missed the whole China Corona thing. And his people were they just locked down China some of his people were in their apartments for 20 something days, 30 days. China, and he was concerned, he's, how you doing? How's everything going? How's it going over there? It has turned 180. China's getting back to normal. China's not letting people in over there. The only new cases, he said, that are happening in China are foreigners coming over there. So basically all his team is concerned about him. Well, how you doing? How you doing? It's because they're hearing about how bad it is here. So it does go away. It'll just be a little bit. It took about a month or so over there, he said, for it to cycle through China. So anyway, back to buffing. I was wet sanding, and I had a big puddle of nasty wet, and he had his suit on, and I'm standing here, and he's standing there, and I said, you can either move, or I'm going to put a big orange blob on you by sanding this water. That's a good way to get rid of somebody that's bothering you if you're buffing, because I'm buffing here. If I know how to work that buffer, doesn't matter if my compound is here, I could spray my wonderful camera person over there just by the direction that I've got my buffer and holding it. When you buff, we should do a thing on buffing here. We probably will on this car. Let the buffer do the work. Stay away from the edges. Don't get that buffer on its corner or you will burn through. Anyway, this thing is still pretty far from buffing. Don't want a hard edge, because I don't care how good you are, you even look at it sideways, you will burn through that edge. So we got it rounded a little bit. I made a big story out of that, but it was worth the story, I think. Cleaned up a lot of this. It's got good, clean, crisp lines on it. I like it. So next, one piece at a time. We were focused on that. I had one guy focused on this. Now we're going to look at this. The motor don't match the frame. The frame's powder coated. We got some paint that's going to match the frame. The motor had been sitting, but it's a clean motor, good motor. It was locked up a little bit. We put a bunch of Marvel Mystery Oil in there, opened it up, got it freed up. I don't see any issues with the motor. It doesn't have a flywheel in it. So we're going to go ahead and pull the motor apart. Not the motor apart, but we're going to take the trans and the motor apart, paint it. We got to put the chunk in the back and the 9-inch. We're going to dress the entire motor out. So I'm not looking at the big picture. I'm not looking at wiring. I'm not looking at the paint. Right now I'm looking at dressing this motor out. What do I need to do? I need to get a water pump. I need to get a fuel pump. Am I going to use a mechanical fuel pump, or am I going to use a electric fuel pump? What am I going to have for my intake? Now Alan's collected parts. There's parts here and I haven't even opened them all. And he chose to go with billet. So it's a lot of polishing on billet, but it's cool looking. It's got that look. There's a lot of billet parts here, so it's got dual carbs. Are these 400s, I hope? They're 500s. It's crazy, you can get a 600 Edelbrock way cheaper than you get a 400, but if I was going to go with two, I would go with a 400, but these would be fine. Just we'll jet them down maybe. I'm assuming this is powder coated because it kind of looks like the same color as the frame. So that'll be pretty cool. It's been thought out. So we got parts and pieces. We got lots of stuff to put on here. So Alan's been buying it piece at a time. I had some lights that we're going to put in the back, but we'll maybe change that up a little bit. Steering columns are here. So we're going to open all this stuff up, carefully kind of go through it to make sure what we got. These are kind of nice, neat. These are motorcycle mirrors, I bet. Oh, it says so even on there. I've used these before. That's Arlen Ness. It doesn't get no more Harley than Arlen Ness. I figured out when we first started building T-buckets, I figured out early on some of the best places to get cool stuff that just you don't find in your normal hot rod catalog. If you go to them big trucker gas stations, all them lights and doodads that they put on them big semi trucks, there is some cool stuff there you can put on your T-bucket. And motorcycle stuff. There is a lot of cool motorcycle stuff that you can incorporate into your T-bucket. So these are pretty neat. Looks like they've got lights in them, and all we gotta do is figure out how to put them on and where to put them. But I bet we can figure that out. Cool. Arlen Ness. A lot of good stuff from them. Where else are we at? We're just kind of going to sort through next, but I'm not going to get overwhelmed with all the job. My next part is figuring out what it's going to take. It looks like we need an oil pan, or are we going to have a painted one? He's going to using fin valve covers. I think we're going to paint it and just show the fins on it. Just a little bit at a time. Don't worry about the big picture. Make a plan for the big picture so you're not going backwards to go forward, but just one step at a time. Okay, now I think as we near the end, did I say if you like this? No, I didn't. If you like it, why don't you share it? Or what else do you do? You can get notifications, I think.
Subscribe and comment.
Subscribe and comment. You can comment. We had a lot of comments last time. So here's a warning. Here's a warning. I have a trump hat on in case you didn't notice. So this might be the part, if you're triggered already, you might want to turn the video off. We're done with our hot rod part. And then, see what I've had this thing forever. I mean, this is like I got this back in, holy cow, I got this thing in 1965. So I've had a few more, probably wore a couple out, but this is the Bible, so we're going to read some of that too. And I had, with the Passover thing, we did some stuff with my grandkids yesterday. It was awesome. We went and the leaven, then there's a lot to it. I'm not going to go into the whole Passover deal, but you're supposed to clean the house out of the leaven. And the way the leaven is, a little bit of yeast just creates, goes into the whole loaf and the whole thing rises. And I've actually talked to my kids about the virus thing too. If I got if I touch something, get one part of it, then all of a sudden it grows in me and it's all over the place. And then, all of a sudden we're too social undistanced and you've got a little bit of it and then it grows in you. It's kind of like that yeast in the unleavened and the leaven. So I put little crumbs of bread all over, and I told my grandkids, I said, here's the deal. God says he's got a thing, but then we sin all the time. But if we do what's good, we get blessed for that. But you can never be perfect. You could just never get it all. So I had a big stack of silver coins there and some other ones. I said, if you guys, I got a crumb problem, we got to get all the crumbs out of the kitchen. If you guys can go in the kitchen and get the crumbs out, then you can have the stack of silver money. And they were all excited. And I had put a bunch of big breadcrumbs, and I had, all the grandkids. I said, now help each other get, find it all. So they came in and they had it all, and they had all these crumbs. So I went in there and said, well, they forgot the loaf. So there was a couple loaves of bread. So I brought my loaves of bread, and I said, you did pretty good, but you don't get the big stack because you fell short. You still got some sin in here. Here's the loaf. And that's how the sin spreads. So my scripture was this. So I went to go to this scripture to teach them this one, but there's one right after it that even applies better. So if you've made it past my warning, here's a second warning for me. Okay, but this is just past the scripture I'm going to read, but it's worth it. I'm going to read it now. Do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you. So if you're pagan or you want to be whatever, you want to call me whatever you want to call me because I got my trump hat, or I'm stupid, or I'm deplorable because I'm reading the scripture, whatever, fine. This is not for you. So I got my loaf here. I got my big loaf and my kids got their little things. Here's the message. How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye when there is a log in your own? You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will be able to see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. That was my weekend. My weekend actually included building cars. I don't normally include cars on my weekend, but we got a new mold. We got Alan's cars coming together. Let's work together. I mean, we're in this together. I would sing God Bless America if I could sing very well and really trigger everybody, but this is a great country. We had a great weekend. I understand we got for the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a lot of people sick. There's always a lot of people sick. There's never a lack of places where you can go be a blessing. We're blessed to be a blessing, and when you're blessing somebody else, you are blessed again. You may not get the whole stack. That comes with, we may talk about what the whole Passover is about and what the blood and the sacrifice is. We're not going to do that today. But today, Alan, your car's coming together. It's going to be yellow. It'll be awesome, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a good day.